kings and queens. What's going on? And welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Kay. Of course, it is your girl, Kayla, also known as what? Your favorite life coach. Yep, you guessed it correct. And listen, I am super excited for this episode. Listen, your girl has been podcasting for 2 years in the game. Listen, y'all already know we are out here and I am super excited. This is actually a live recording, so those in the audience, y'all make some noise. Listen, so we are actually going to go ahead and get started. So like I said, I have been podcasting for 2 years now, and this journey in itself has been... It's been a tedious journey, you know. Every hill, valley, whatever you want to call it, it has definitely been an experience, but it's not one that I regret. I started podcasting all because someone told me, you know, you got a voice and people need to hear your voice. So, like, share what you got with the world. And I was just like, okay, cool. I'll do it. So I took some time and I started working on that. And then somewhere in the midst, I decided to get licensed as a minister. So a lot of people don't know I am a licensed minister out here in these streets, right? Come on, give them praise. We love them on today. But in that, I did my first initial sermon, and my initial sermon was entitled Trust the Process, because throughout life, we go throughout these different things, and it's just like we don't know what's going to happen next, what's around the corner. So it's just like you have to trust this process and know that it's going to lead you where you need to go type vibe. So for this episode of Kicking It with Kay, I have 4 different guests, and we're just going to take a journey through a process, and you guys will catch on with it. But with that being said, of talking about the process, trusting the process, I want to go ahead and invite my first guest up. She is my cousin. I'm related to a lot of people, but she's one that's near and dear to my heart. So I want to go ahead and bring her on stage, and that is none other than Jada Lowe. Y'all give her a hand. I got cue
Mic
cards.
check 1 2 1 2. Everybody wanna be like you. Whoa.
Hey. All right, Miss Jada Lowe, aka J Lowe is what we call you. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. Listen, thank you so much for being here on this episode of Kicking It with Kay, as we, because it takes a village, right? So
sure.
Thank you so much for being here with me. You was actually one of the people that I talked to when I first started podcasting, because I was bouncing ideas off of you, like, what do you think about this?
Right.
And, you know, so you have been very beneficial in this journey to me. So I personally want to say thank you for that.
Likewise, no problem. You know, I got your back.
Awesome. So again, going along with this trusting the process journey, you just recently started a podcast yourself.
Yes, I did.
Y'all make some noise for that.
Thank you, guys.
So your podcast that you just started is called Mindful Moments, right?
Yes.
How did you come up with that name, and what was your inspiration for starting podcasts?
So the gag is I was supposed to start the podcast in the midst of COVID. But really the whole gist of it and the idea behind it was the things that I felt helped me to be more mindful throughout the day, to just make it through the day, especially during COVID. I wanted to bring that to the forefront and to really just help people to be more mindful, to be more cognizant of the things that make you happy and just what helps you get through the day. So that was just kind of where it came from, just spreading positivity and mindfulness overall.
Right. So you said that you were supposed to start during COVID. And so COVID kind of put everything on the back burner for you. How was that process, or what was your feeling as you was going through that? Because of course you had a set date of when you wanted to start, but you didn't accomplish or reach it by that goal.
Yeah. I don't feel like it agitated me enough. Like I knew it was something that I always wanted to do. I had a passion for it, interest in it, just always considered myself a creative person. But the difference between then and now, I would say I feel it feels more like a responsibility. And I always kind of call it divine agitation, because I felt like it was just not an impulse decision, but more of an urge to just do it now, like do what I need, do what you need to do. Back then I felt that, but it wasn't the sense of an urge. It was more like an interest to like try it out.
Right.
And realizing 2 years later that it was just long overdue.
Long overdue.
Yeah, it just it rested on my heart a little bit more now than it did then.
I got you. Something that I want to go back to what you just said. You said that it was an agitation. So it was something that was rubbing you. Let's talk about that for a moment, because on this journey, in this process, there are a lot of things that happen that will sometimes agitate us, or some things that won't agitate us. But how did you know that agitation was just like, yeah, I need to go ahead and pursue that or jump on that?
It kept coming back. It kept coming back in one way, shape, or form. It kept coming back. Even when I saw other people posting their content, it wasn't a thing of comparison or jealousy, but it was like, if they're doing it, if they're just starting it, if you seeing all these people being consistent, why not you?
Right.
You know? Especially if you feel like it's on your heart. But I just noticed it was always there. Even if it would go away, it'll come back. Just it constantly, well, I don't want to say aggravated, I'll say agitated. It constantly just agitated me, like, you need to be doing this.
Right. One thing that I love that you just said is that, you see people out here doing it, and you have that question, why not me? How has that been for you? Because we're in a world full of people that's podcasting, starting a podcast every day,
Everywhere.
So how has that been for you? Have you found it? Have you been discouraged because you see somebody else doing this or doing that? How do you find your groove in podcasts?
For me, it got discouraging because I'm an overthinker, and I'll see the big picture.
Yeah.
But when it comes to all the meantime and between time, that's where I can get overwhelmed. And so when I did tell myself, okay, Jada, why not you? You see all these people with successful podcasts. What makes you think that you wouldn't be able to get there?
Right.
And once I asked myself that, it helped me to look and to tackle it in smaller goals to be able to get to that point. But it wasn't discouraging because everybody else was doing it. It was just discouraging from me being in my own head. But yeah, that's what I really had to ask myself. Why not you? You can do it. If not, just do it.
And I think that's the question that we have to ask ourselves a lot is, why not me?
Right.
Like, I tell people this all the time is that, there's no one else like you in this world, right?
Exactly.
So why won't you go and try out for that thing that you've been wanting to do? Because the only thing that can come out of it is that I don't even look at failure as failing. It's actually a lesson learned, because if it doesn't work out a certain way,
You know what not to
find
do.
another way to, maneuver and work through
a little finesse.
a little razzle dazzle.
Little finesse,
Just a little bit.
Right.
So when you think about the word process, how would you define process?
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
That's the best way I know how. I mean, that's literally all we have.
Right.
As much as you try to be in tomorrow, you're not there yet. So you can work towards getting there, but in the literal sense, we physically aren't there. So you have what's in front of you. That's what you control what you can,
Right.
which is the day that's in front of you.
That is so true. So why is it so important to just trust the process?
I feel like you'll reap the reward as you trust it. That's just trusting the process in general is something that, yeah, you always reap the benefits of it,
Right.
and you learn through it, you grow through it, you go through it. That's a bar, but yeah, you reap the reward of it.
Right. And it's always good. Everything works out for our good.
Yeah.
I was just literally having this conversation last night. We was getting some stuff together. Well, actually the setup. And I was telling them, it's coming up on 2 years. And of course, it hasn't been the prettiest journey ever. And most journeys are not pretty because you got your highs and your lows and you need all of it to learn and just for life to be beautiful, you have to have it. Because if it's always flowers and sunshine, we wouldn't learn to depend on God or our creator the way that we do if we
Right.
didn't go through a little something. You get what I'm saying?
And you appreciate it. I think you appreciate it more when you have ups and downs,
That part.
because it teaches you how to adapt and adjust mainly. So
Adapt and adjust.
Yeah.
Life lessons of trusting the process.
For
So, Jada, before I let you leave off this stage, what advice would you give someone that's looking to start a podcast or having trouble trusting their process?
the main thing that helped me was telling myself that you have everything you need, no matter what goal it is, no matter what you're trying to accomplish. Everything that you have is inside of you, and everything that you may not possess, there's somebody who will come into your life who will help to either strengthen that or who will complement
Right.
it. So you have literally everything you need. God has given you everything you need to do what he needs for you to do. That's as simple as I can put it, because when you realize that it's already within you, you start to operate different and even have a deeper sense of gratitude for yourself too, to help you trust the process. So.
Listen, I truly appreciate you for coming on this stage and gracing us with that, with trusting the process. This is our 10th episode together, right?
11.
Alone.
11.
Yup. So we'll be back for number 12, right?
For sure. I got you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jada. Y'all
Thank
give
you.
J Lo a hand.
Thank you, guys.
We are gonna bring on my next guest, and I'm excited about this one because they're super shy and nervous. I think I met this person maybe over a year ago, and you guys know how you just have those people you just connect with just right off bat. It was one of them moments, and I can't get rid of them, and I love having them around. So y'all give it up for my next guest, DeMarco. Hey, DeMarco.
What's going on?
How are you?
Nervous.
You nervous? Why you nervous?
I don't know. Talking really isn't my thing. I'm normally singing, so
That is true. So, for everybody that do not know DeMarco is this excellent singer. He got range. I wish I had range. He got it all. You want to sing for the people? No? Maybe later?
Yeah, later. I got you.
Bet. Don't worry about it. So, as we continue on this journey of life, we just left off with Jada with trusting the process. Everybody goes through a process in life. Now, once we are going through this process, we have to come to find who we are. So finding our voice in whatever industry that we may be in. Now, with you being this singer, let's start here. How did you start singing, and what was your inspiration? Like, what inspired you?
Okay. So growing up, I was a church boy. I grew up in the church, was in church every Sunday,
Yeah.
choir rehearsal every week. So this whole thing, and my family is like, they somewhat come from a singing background. So it was natural for me to go into the singing aspect of my talent.
Right.
But what a lot of people don't know, or what they're about to know, is when I went off and I graduated high school and I went to college, my original plan was to go get like a music degree. So to be like a music major. But when I started thinking about it, I was like, music is a very diverse talent.
It's out here.
It's, everybody is doing music. And I was like, I don't know exactly where my ground would be
Right.
if I were to take that leap. So when I went off to college, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do music majors, so I'm just gonna go for computer engineering. And that's just gonna be that on that. And I'm
Right.
just gonna chase the bag and then let the music come along with it later on.
Right.
So with me going through college and going through my whole education and everything, I was still singing. I was still doing singing in church, singing in the choir, and little small things here and there. So going through that and everything, I graduated, ended up moving to Georgia, and now I'm like literally singing, if not every week, every other week,
Every day.
every day,
Every day.
So that's how I got my start, like singing, like, and of course surrounding myself with the right people,
That part.
and going to like putting myself out there, because if I would not have taken that leap of faith, then I don't know where I would be.
So let's take a pause right there because you said you had to put yourself out there. Listen, as people for the culture, we ain't gonna put ourselves out there like
Not
that
at all.
because first off, we don't want to look goofy in front of nobody. So how was that actually you putting yourself out there, saying that I'm not giving up on my singing, but this is something that I really want to do. So how was that like? How did you get out there?
Just being myself. I think what some people think is that in order to get where you want to be, you have to be a certain person or you have to be a certain way.
Right.
For me just being me, silly, goofy, just me, got me to where I am now. Talking to people and networking and just being human. That's what a lot of people fail to realize is when they see people on these stages that, they're, or at least I'm going to speak for myself. When I saw people on stage, I'm like, they're like too bougie for me. They're, they're not going to talk to me. They're not going to this, that, and the third. But putting myself out there and actually taking that leap of faith and once again taking that leap of faith and just having a conversation, I was like, they're human just like I am.
Right. I think you literally just said a mouthful with that because first thing first, just be you. Just be you. There's nobody in this world like you. Nobody
Yes.
can do you like you.
Agreed.
Like you. You can be duplicated. You can be copied but never duplicated. Like no one else has your DNA. Only you got that.
Exactly.
And you stepping into that confidence of who you are, it sets you apart. Like, my closest friend, I had to sneak that in there. He always tell people that, you have a superpower. And like when you figure out what your superpower is, you use that and you let it work for you.
Exactly.
And that's what you have been doing with finding your voice in this industry. So I just want to say I'm super proud of you. I see you singing every week, every day, and I can't get enough of it because
stop
your voice
it.
is anointed. Like, you definitely have power in your voice. So thank you for being you. Now, there are people, again, that struggle with just being themselves. It can be because of upbringing, it can be because of the crowd that they hang with. How did you have to, what changed for you? Like, did you have to change up your circle? Did you have to, what happened for you to be like, I'm not switching up for nobody?
I think for me, it was setting out an end goal. So most people have plans, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that. But for me, I just set where I wanted to be, and anything from where I am to where I want to be, anywhere in between those 2 I just let it happen naturally. Because you can't control it.
That's right. It's all a
Thing-
process.
It's all a process.
Right.
Trust the process. And to kind of, be a little spiritual a little bit.
Come on.
I feel like if God would not have wanted me to do a certain thing or be a certain way, then he would not have made me
Right.
this way. And one thing that I had to tell myself too along in this process is if I'm going to worry or if I'm going to stress, because of course getting to where you want to be is a very stressful,
Yeah.
process.
It ain't easy.
It's not
It ain't
easy
easy
at
at
all. So I'm like, one, he wouldn't put more on me than I can bear. Two, if I'm going to worry, then why ask for it?
Ooh.
So it's
Say that one more
like,
time or run it back.
if I'm going to worry, then why ask for it? We ask like, oh, can you, guide me along this way, or can you give me this, or can you give me that? But then we don't want to put in the work to do it.
Listen, so I ain't gonna be before you long, cause that can just like really like I told y'all in the bag, I got my card, so I'm gonna stay on topic. But like, there's a weight that comes with everything.
It is.
Just you being alive, that carries a weight with it.
It does.
You get what I'm saying? So as we are going through life, you really have to be firm in your foundation and knowing that God, my creator, whoever you serve, they made me this way for a reason. So I'm going to do everything in my might that I can to fulfill the purpose of me being on this earth, right?
Correct.
So it's going to come with some late nights, some early mornings. It's going to come with losing your voice, being hoarse. It's going to come
Exactly.
with a lot of delays here and there. It's going to come with your highs. It's going to come with your lows. It's going to come with some happiness. It's going to come with some crying. It's going to come with some depression. It's going to come with a lot
of
of
it.
things. But one thing we have to realize, like you said, is that I'm made for it.
Exactly.
I am made for it. And if I know that I am made for this moment, for this time, the weight that I'm carrying, it's going to make it easier because it's a process and I'm not meant to stand in one position for a long time. It got to keep going. And in order for it to keep going, I got to keep going. You got to keep going.
And it's like, and even for like the non-spiritual people, being foundationally sound in whatever it is that you are wanting to do, knowing that this is what I want to do, this is what's in front of me. Don't be easily manipulated
That's good.
and persuaded, because, and that goes back into like knowing who you have around, because knowing who you have around plays a big part into where you can go or how far you can go. So if I'm going to, have these people around me, then one, there has to be some type of support system.
Right.
two, there has to be some type of accountability. And that goes along with that process because if I'm in this process, me personally, and I have an end goal, and I'm expressing that end goal to not only my family, but my friends and the people that are in my circle, then I want to be held accountable. So if they see me wavering, I can get put back on track.
Right.
So
That is so true. And like I said, I'm not going to be before you long because our conversation is going overboard. But you have to check your crew. You always got to check your boat. We go through these different seasons in life, and everybody is not meant to go through every season of life with you. So you got to be careful about those people. Always check your boat. The last episode that I did was R.I.P. Me and my closest friend. We recorded that episode, and in that episode, we was talking about life is this book. Think about life as a book. And in this book, you have these different chapters. You have these different characters here, there, and everywhere. So you are the main character of your book. You're not going to change. You're going to be at that book from beginning to end. But what will change is the characters, the other people that is in your book. So just because you showed up in my chapter 1 in paragraph 2, sentence number 5, doesn't mean you're going to be in chapter 5, sentence 6 at the end. You get what I'm saying? It's always a moving factor. And sometimes you just got to be okay with knowing this person was meant for this area of my life. I appreciate the lessons or whatever I learned. And then I get up and I move on because there's something else out there, right?
Exactly. Those are called seasonal people. And people think that it's a bad thing to be a seasonal person or to be in somebody's life for a season. It's not necessarily bad.
It's not.
And this is my motto that I've always used along my whole entire life. It's either, no matter what you go through, it's either going to be 1, a lesson, or 2, a blessing. But guess what? Either way you look at it, you're going to learn something.
That is true.
So either way you are going to grow. You are meant to grow from whatever you go through. Spiritually, mentally, physically, no matter, like, that's like going to the gym and you're lifting weights. But then that first week, you kind of, wear yourself out. So and when you're lifting, your arms go out.
Right.
It's a lesson. So next time you go to the gym, okay, this is how much I can bear. This is how much I can put on me. So next time you just build and build and build. But as you're building, you're getting stronger. You're getting wiser. You are gaining the right mentality. Like you are growing. That's just my philosophy.
Listen, DeMarco. Listen, I want to thank you for coming to have this conversation with me. And before I let you go off of this stage, what advice would you give someone that is struggling to find their voice?
Don't give up. In a world where you see a lot of people doing the same thing, just like you said in the beginning, you are unique. Find what makes you unique and comfortable and run with it.
There you have it. Run with you. Because if anybody else don't run with you, you got
gotta run with you.
Thank you so much, DeMarco.
You're welcome.
Y'all give DeMarco a hand. Awesome. Y'all still doing all right out there? Awesome. So, I actually have a special treat for y'all. I came across this young lady. She's just a breath of fresh air. You know how like you meet some people and it's just like, I just love them. She's one of those people, and she's an up-and-coming artist in the area, so I'm going to bring her on stage, and she's going to perform for y'all. So y'all give it up for Josie Moten. Josie Joe. So y'all, just to let you know, Josie, she has a single out on all streaming platforms called I Want You. So make sure you go and check that out. Josie, you ready? You excited? I'm gonna step on stage and let you do what you do. Y'all give it up one more time for Josie.
It's crazy, 'cause I still miss your warm embrace. 'Cause baby, I'm on you. 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 Summer nights, catching fireflies. Still remember the fire in your eyes before we crossed the line. 'Cause baby, I want you. 'Cause baby, I want you.
Y'all, Josie, she graduated from Middle Georgia, right?
Right.
With a music, what's your major?
A bachelor's in music.
A bachelor in music. Y'all give it up for Josie for that. So, she's actually been accepted into
Atlanta Institution of Music and Media, AIM.
So one thing about Josie, she's been working here at Tug Studios, actually learning the soundboard and all this good stuff. So what was your inspiration for getting into music?
I grew up in church, and my grandparents and mom, dad, everybody sung, so I kind of just got through in the pulpit, and it just started from there. Like, I've been singing since I was 2. That's just something that I did. I didn't think about it as a job or anything, nothing like that.
So it's something that you love,
Right, it's a passion.
So now, since you grew up singing and now you get to see the behind the scenes part, actually working behind the soundboard and all that good stuff, how has that experience been? Because it's totally different from singing to...
Right. I have a deeper appreciation for sound engineers because it is very hard, especially when people don't know the proper etiquette.
That part.
It is very, very hard.
You got a few amens in the back.
It is very, very hard to try to do sound when, you know, for example, people cupping the mic like this.
Yeah, because they be all like
They
this
be
for
all
real.
with it.
That's how they be.
So I have a deeper appreciation for the magic behind the soundboard and what, you know, they're artists too behind the soundboard, and they make a lot of this pleasing to the ear.
Right. So, yeah, because a lot of people get mad because there's actually sound coming out the speakers. That's what it was built for. So let's shout out to all of the sound engineers, the band, singers. People don't understand, but it's actually a lot of work that goes into making something, you know, great like that. So we appreciate all of y'all. We appreciate
Y'all give it up one more time for Josie Joe in the building. Make some noise if you're ready for the next guest. So, this next guest, I've actually met her through my brother, and she has become a big sister to me. You know, it's a cliche for a lot of people to go around and call each other sis and bro and all this other stuff, but she's actually a person that I can call on whenever, if I need advice about anything. Like, she's literally always there. So I'm truly appreciative for her to come and actually grace the platform with me. Beyonce said, diva is the female version of a hustler. And she is definitely the epitome of a true diva. She is a hustler. She's an entrepreneur. She's a super mom. Like, she do it all. So I want you guys to give it up for my next guest. Her name is Kitia Abrams.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm hoarse. Allergy season came very early.
Listen, I understand.
But I'm here.
I'm glad you're here and you in the building.
Authentically, I'm here.
I appreciate you for being here to have this conversation that we are about to have.
Okay.
So, as we are continuing through this journey, we talked about trusting the process. Trusting the process is the overall arching goal of it. From trusting the process, you come into finding your voice, knowing who you are. And once you find your voice, you boss up. You get your boss status. And you did not want me to say that, but I told you I was going to say it because you are a true boss in your own way from everything you have done. I want you to just tell the people your story. How did you... So, for everybody that don't know, Kitia, she... an entrepreneur, Curl Ups, Naturals, Pretty Looks, a lot of stuff. But I'm going to let you tell it so I won't mess it up. But you went from corporate world, starting your own business, doing some other things. So tell us about your journey.
Well, I'm Jamaican. My dad is Jamaican, so I'm part Jamaican.
Yeah.
And I watched my dad be an entrepreneur my entire life. And pretty much a hustler. He never worked for anybody until even down to the day he died, he was still working for himself. And so I always knew that I was different than my relatives, than my brother, and my sisters, because I felt like I always thought different. My way of thinking would be what I thought everybody had, which was common sense. You know, it just is
so
logic, but it's not so common.
Right.
So I would say and do things or not do things that everybody else was doing. If you were the crowd that was hanging out late, staying late, doing things that they say normal teenagers do,
right.
I was different. I was at home reading books. I was at home reading Chick-fil-A history. How did they start that? I was reading how Sam Walton started Walmart. And I knew that very early I wanted to be something that I did not have growing up as a child. Because even though my mom and my dad were hustlers, I didn't have the greatest childhood, and I knew that I always wanted a better life than what I had, and I knew that I was better than the situation I was born into.
Right.
So I wanted to make a way for myself very early, and so the business world just always intrigued me. So of course, my first job was at Sears at 16, and I saw things that they did that to me didn't make sense.
Yeah.
You could simplify the process. And I remember going to my mom and she said, Keisha, that man, because she was talking about the store manager at the time, she said, that man has a boss. That boss has a boss, and you're just a cashier. Just do what the people tell you to do and move on.
Right.
And I thought to myself on that day, I'm going to be a boss because this don't make no sense. I have to change the workflow. I have to change the process because it's not making sense to me. So from that day forward, I knew that I wanted to put myself in a position not to necessarily be a boss. And I don't like to use that term because I think it's used loosely. And I think that people don't understand the hard work that goes behind being a boss. And we say that a lot. We even say the word entrepreneur a lot. And it makes it look easy, but it's a very hard task. It's a very hard job. It's sleepless nights. It's when you should be asleep, but an idea running across your mind, you're picking up your journal, you're writing down your plan. Sometimes it's finances not coming in the way you want, and you didn't reach the sale goal that you had. And so I always like to just say, I am an entrepreneur, but I just say I'm a hustler because I'm out here getting it the best way I know how. But I always encourage people to do things your way. Because social media will have you running rapid and starting 25 businesses when you really just need one great idea, and you do that very well. You do that well first, then you can move to the second thing.
Listen, you already have said a mouthful, so let's stop the trash,
Okay.
let's stay fast, and let's get it together.
Okay.
So one of the things that stuck out that you said to me was that, you didn't have the upbringing or the ideal upbringing that others had.
Right.
So, we have to get out of the mindset of, well, my mama did it this way, my daddy did it this way, or it's always been like this. Your past doesn't really define you. It's where you're going. So don't let that be a hindrance or hold you back from pushing forward for what it is that you want to do in life. And a lot of times we get stuck.
Yes.
Literally stuck on stupid because it's just like, well, my mama don't approve it or this person doesn't approve it, and we're always looking for the opinions of others.
That's true.
Well, what is it that you want to do?
That's true. And I'm glad you mentioned that about this person not approving it or someone speaking negative about it. And that's because your dream is bigger than what they could have seen for themselves.
That part.
And a lot of times people will project their own insecurities on you. And so then you're telling a big dream to a small mind. They can't see outside of their neighborhood. How can they see you on a billboard? And so you have to be careful. Like I think you and DeMarco spoke on it earlier, who you surround yourself around and who you tell your business to. Because some people are dream killers. We talk about people being in seasons in your life for a season, but some people come to kill your dream. Because one, everybody say they want to see you make it until you make it bigger than them. Until you are in a position that they didn't see themselves in or they want to be in and they don't know how to be.
Right.
And so a lot of times I always tell people, I'm going to show up Keisha. And I wasn't this way always until I became a mom. I have 4 daughters and 2 sons. And so it's easy to tell your children, but we all know they're going to do what they see us doing.
Right.
And so if I'm not confident in what I'm doing, they're going to see that. I want to be an example for my children on how to be when they get grown, become adults.
Right.
I know they're going to do their own thing, but what they won't be able to say is my mama didn't go out and get it. My daddy didn't support her dream because, as you can see, I'm a mom of 6 kids. And so I can tell you I have started and stopped because kids come first in a lot of ways.
Right.
But every time I find a way to pivot, when I stop and start back. Well, while I'm stopping, I'm not really sitting idle. You know, I recently had a baby, and he's 5 months old. He's my surprise
Look,
baby.
Gavin, shout out to
So,
Gavin.
but during that time, my husband was like, sit down, let me lead, let me take care of the household. And while he was at work, I sat down, filling out application, because even though I'm an entrepreneur, I was like, the easiest thing for me to do is go get a job. The hardest thing to do is work for myself. People won't tell you that. I can go run a business. I can run your business with your SOPs just fine.
Exactly.
It's getting people to come to my business and doing things my way that's a little bit harder. So I was filling out applications and doing phone interviews. I was 7 months pregnant, waddling to an interview. But I was determined that I wasn't going to lose me in the process of giving life. And so once I had my son, I continued on that journey of being Keisha. And my husband was like, you just won't sit down. I said, it's not that I don't want you to lead. I just can't lose myself in the process. And so once he understood that, then it was like, okay, she's making deals again. She's being herself. Even my kids have said to me, Mom, you look like yourself again. So the main goal is just making sure you don't lose yourself in the process of growing and not trying to be what everybody say you should be.
Right.
And I dealt with that a lot in the beginning of my journey of, like DeMarco said, you see people on the stage, so you want to look like them, you want to talk like them, you want to dress like them, you want to be like them, because you think that's what the world asks for, when really they just want you to show up authentically you.
Right.
And once you do that, people gravitate to who you are anyway.
That is so true. Again, there is power in you just being you. Another thing that you just said that stuck out to me was that you wasn't idle. So a lot of times in life when we're going through something or something is happening or something didn't happen the way that we expected it to happen,
Yes.
sometimes we'll just stop altogether. No.
Right.
That's not the time for you to stop. It may not be time for you to pursue a certain thing, but there are things in the background that you can be doing to prep
Exactly.
yourself or get where you need to be. So never get in a place where you get stagnant and you
Exactly.
just sitting, but actually putting in work. You said you went and you filled out the applications. You didn't have to leave the house to do that. Like there's so much that we can do, but a lot of times we don't do it. Do you think fear plays a part in that?
It's a big part of it, because no one wants to fail. If we're being honest, we could talk positive all we want. Oh, you're gonna fail, and it's gonna be okay. It's a lesson learned, but it hurt. Failing hurt.
Say it again for the people in the bank.
It hurts. It hurts to fail. It hurts when people don't show up to your event or don't buy your product, and you're thinking and you're second guessing yourself. What could I have done differently? Did I not market it right? But you take that fear and you show up anyway. I'm scared right now. I haven't taught on the stage in years. This is my first time on the stage, and I'm glad I can't see everybody in front of people I don't know. It's easy to be on a podcast and nobody can see you. It's hard when it's filmed.
Yeah.
I'm scared right now, but I'm showing up because I know eventually I want a podcast, right? And there's somebody out here I don't know, but I can network with one day. And so when I go in with an objective of being me, being authentic, and showing up anyway,
Right.
it's helping me push through that fear. But fear plays a big part. Like I said, no one wants to fail. And we say all the time, fail forward, and it's okay to fail, but it hurts.
It definitely hurts. One thing that we gotta remind ourselves to do is show up for you. When was the last time you actually did something for you? It wasn't for the people, it wasn't for the applause, it wasn't for the congratulations, but when was the last time you did something for you?
Right.
And you was okay with it. No matter how many people showed up, no
Right.
matter how many people brought the products
Right.
or whatever it is, but when was the last time you did something and you felt good about it? So
Right.
we have to keep that mentality and keep that mindset when we are in this arena of business. One other thing that I want to talk to you about is, how was it for you to find balance in between everything that you have going on? Because again, you are a full-time mother
Yes.
out here in these streets. So you have your home life,
Yes.
you have your business life,
Yes.
you have your other work life. So like you have all these different avenues. How well or how are you maneuvering through finding a not necessarily an equal balance, but finding a level head in a sense?
Well, being honest, my husband knew what kind of woman he married. So I have a great support system at home. If I didn't have that, then I wouldn't be able to be here with a 5-month-old right now. So I have a great support system at home, and my kids are now teenagers. And so when I am doing business things or traveling for business, I bring my girls with me so that they can see. Sometimes I bring my son with me. I try to bring them in their maturity. If they show me maturity during that time of planning, then that's your reward to come with me to work.
Right.
And so they've been with me where I've built a kiosk from Home Depot doors and turned them into walls and turned it into a mini store inside of a mall.
Yep.
They've seen it all. I bring them along with that journey so they want to help. They want to be a part of the success. So my whole family right now is engulfed in building and being our own entrepreneurs in our own way. It doesn't have to be mommy's way. You don't have to join mommy's business, but you're gonna be successful. You're gonna be productive. And DeMarco mentioned earlier about accountability. That's my favorite word in the house. Is not just in the house, in life, is accountability. Holding myself accountable as their mother, as his wife, and for myself. So when we fall short, it's accountability for us. We have family meetings all the time in my home so that we could talk about where someone may have fallen short, where we've hurt someone's feelings or we didn't show up when it was important, so that we can make the necessary adjustments. Because you're not perfect. You're not going to get it right all the time. But I have an open door policy in my home so that we can know how to help each other balance. This is what I got going on this week. I'm going to need you guys. I'm going to need you all in. This is what daddy have going on. We're going to need you all in. We're calling in reinforcements. We have open communication. Communication, support, and planning, structure is what keeps me going and being able to do what I need to do. And when I can't do it, I say no. I can't show up to everything.
Come on, somebody.
So I say no, but I say no respectfully, and I say no, maybe next time, don't lose my number, put me on the calendar for next month. I don't say no and leave it that way. I just say, no, I can't do it right now. I have family time. You have to set those boundaries. We can talk about hustling all day and chasing the bag, but what's going to happen when you're dead?
That part.
You need your family. You need to make sure you're making memories. I have 6 kids. I'm at every dance recital. I'm at every cooking show. Like my son wants to be a chef, so I'm at every event. I'm at every chorus practice. I'm there. And if I can't make it, we have a discussion about why I'm not there and make sure that it's okay that I won't make it in that time, or let me see what you're going to do so I don't miss the production.
Right.
So I try to balance it out that way.
That is real good. And even in that balance, having that vulnerability piece with your family, because you have that family time, you guys talk it out. So that's like really huge. The last thing that I have for you, because I'm not going to hold you long, but when we think about our village, I believe that there are levels to our village. You have your people that you can go on the road with. You have your people that'll hold you down on the back side or whatever. So dig a little deeper into that, the importance of the village, and then after that, what advice would you give people that's looking to, well, not necessarily looking, but how to really be confident in the hustler you are?
So on the village part, because of my upbringing, I'm very selective of who's in my circle anyway.
As you should.
So the people that I'm around, I try to make sure that they're supportive. You don't know what someone is thinking 24/7. You can tell when they either like it or don't like it. But I distance myself. I can feel the vibe, is what we say. But my village has been strong. My best friend, Kevin, has been with me when I have had to fill 1,100 bottles to ship to a subscription box. You know, he's been with me after work, late night hours, filling and shipping orders off of wholesale in different countries. that's my friend. You know, when I'm traveling to New York or wherever I'm going with my business, I can call Kevin. He's gonna be there. There's not a whole lot of people, not even in my family, that I can call on to do that, which is why I'm training my kids. But so the village is just surrounding yourself with like-minded people, and understanding that the relationships have to be beneficial. It can't just be all about you because you're the entrepreneur. It also has to be how can you help them, and how can they help you. It has to be a mutual thing. No one, don't care who you are, wants to feel used.
Right.
And when they feel like I'm just being used for your benefit and I'm not getting anything out of it, then it's, that's not a village. That's not a partnership. I'm all about having partnerships and people around me that I can trust. Because when I love hard. Whether you're my friend or my family, I love you to death. And when I'm hurt by you, I can distance myself far, far away from you at the same time. So I would rather just love out loud, trust you, and make sure the relationship, the partnership is beneficial for both parties. As far as people being comfortable in following their dreams. Because entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. Can we say that?
That is true.
Everybody don't want to start a business. Everybody don't need to start a business. Being comfortable in the direction and the path of what you chose for your success in life is what I would suggest, period. Don't try to be like anybody else. There's this one person I see all the time. When she entered the room, she introduced herself as a millionaire. That's great. I don't know if you really are or not. But I'm from Macon, Georgia, and I ain't telling you nothing about what I got in my bank account, never, right? But she introduced herself a lot of times as a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. And I often ask, when people say that, I don't know what that's supposed to do. And I always ask her, well, why do you introduce yourself that way? Her mindset was, I want to encourage everybody else to get like me and make millions too. I said, well, could you encourage them by showing them some foundational ways to be a millionaire instead of just introducing yourself? Because your money don't make me money.
Hello.
So can you just, say what your profession is? Can you just tell them what you do and how you did it? Or give them some golden nuggets and then sell your class and give them the foundation instead of screaming you're a millionaire all the time? Because sometimes that can be intimidating to somebody. And so don't get caught up in this millionaire facade and facet that I see everybody introducing. I made $1 million selling tickets. They made $1 million off of you. You bought a $1,000 ticket, 10 people did it, they got $100,000. But or whatever the amount is. So they made $1 million or $100,000 off of you because they sold you a $1,000 ticket. You are their money, right? So you just figure out the foundation, what works for you, and you become your millionaire. The road won't be easy. I think a lot of times people want it to be fast. It's not fast. It's a slow road to the millions. But when you get there, reach back and pull somebody with you. And that's all I have.
Listen, thank you so much for coming to have this conversation with me. If you guys need any natural hair care products, make sure you see her before you leave out the building. I'll make sure I definitely get your information so that it can go down in the description box. So thank you so much again. Y'all give Keisha a hand.
Thank you.
All right, so we are getting down to my last guest of the night, and then we're gonna have some fun with some live music. My next guest, I met him probably a couple months ago, like the ending of last year is when I met him, and just to see the different things that he is doing in the community, and just his vibe is one that's unique. So you guys are gonna love him. But with that being said, I want to bring up my next guest, and that is none other than Lawrence Ray. Y'all give him a hand.
Beautiful
Not too
people.
old for this.
Too old for this, man.
You still young. Listen, thank you so much for being here tonight, today, whenever. I want to talk to you more so about branding. So with everyone being on this process, well, being on this journey, going through this process, coming into who you are, finding out your strategies, this, that, and the third. If you guys don't know, this is Mr. Talk to Me Nice, so he gonna talk to us nice tonight. How did you get to where you are now? You have your business, YouTube. How did you get to that creator content vibe, if that makes sense?
That's a good question. To be honest with you, I mean, I didn't start it for that. I really started it more for like me and my homies, just having conversation. And as we started doing it, I mean, it started getting more attention. So, I mean, we turned that into a business and, you know, it kind of moved the way it went. But I'd be lying if I said that's how I planned it. It just kind of worked out for me.
Right. So it was just something that just literally happened.
Yeah.
So did it catch you by surprise, or like when that first thing happened, what was the first thing you put out? Can you remember?
Oh, well, the first thing I put out, we didn't even start in person. We started like on Zoom calls, just doing, just having random conversations. Because I started technically like 10 years ago. I was into music. I stopped doing music, but I still had a following for music. So people, you know, paying attention, asked me when I was going to do something. So when I finally came back, everybody paid attention to it. It wasn't what they expected because it wasn't music related.
Right.
But they was like, hey, we kind of like this too. We'll give it a chance. So they kept paying attention to it. That's when we went from, once I seen, hey, this is kind of getting a little bit more attention, we changed it from virtual to in person. And then we kind of kept growing and growing to, you know, where it is now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when we talk about building a brand, because I believe you are your own walking billboard. When you walk into a room, people, they notice you. A lot of times when we walk into a place, people will look at you. They're going to look at your shoes. They're going to look at what you got on, you know, this, that, and the third. So what is the importance of brand building?
If you're going to build a brand, it has to be true to you. Because if it's not true to you, you're going to forget to be your brand. Like, just simple as it goes. If you're being yourself, I don't have to fake who I am, so it's going to be me all the time. But if you're putting on a persona for somebody and they catch you at the wrong time when you're not in your persona, that's where conversations start. Like, you know, I seen him the other day. He wasn't acting like that. But I see him today. Now he acting like... That's what people start to have distrust for you. And once they don't trust you, that's where they don't want to work with you. Because if you lie about this, you'll lie about that.
Exactly.
And that, you're going to destroy your brand right off there.
That is so good. So the whole common factor for tonight, just be you. Again, there is power in you being you. So once you come to being who you are, talk about the intentionality of marketing. So I see you on Facebook a lot. Like, you're posting a lot here, there, and everywhere. Like, the guy is funny. If you do not follow him, please go follow him, for real, for real.
Yeah, I do what I can.
But talk about the importance of, like, really marketing yourself or putting yourself out there.
Like I tell anybody, whether a musician, a podcast, anything content creation, that you want to get into content creation, a lot of stuff that happens, people want to be at the quote-unquote cool table. So once you become the cool table, the work is done. They're going to come to you regardless because everybody wants to be associated with what's cool.
Right.
So that's mainly where the work has to go in. It's just showing people, you know, what you're doing, where you're at. And as more people start to get involved with it, man, you know, you go from having to ask people, hey, will you come join this today, to, hey, man, do you got a spot for me? So once you put the work in on the front end, on the back end, I mean, it kind of solves its own issue.
Yeah, I think one thing with that too is, like, when you put in that work and when you are reaching people, one thing we got to realize is that, you know, everybody is not your crowd. You have to figure out, I'm reaching this demographic, I'm doing this for this group of people, that type vibe. Do you find it hard to really, well, you do stuff for everybody. Like,
yeah, I don't really have that problem because again, you got to be true to yourself. I'm true to myself. I'm not the best speaker. I'm funny. I'm not the funniest person. Even when I do musician, I'm not the best musician. But putting it out there and then allowing people who are to give them a spotlight, then makes you. I don't need to be the best musician if I still have the best musician here with me.
Right.
So that's kind of how I'm able to reach different demographics. Even like women, I'm not a woman. I can't speak to women topics, but I can bring a woman on my podcast to speak for me, and now I can reach that woman demographic. So it's just, again, you got to be true to if you want to reach everybody, you got to be true to yourself to know who do I need to call to give them that, because that's not what I give them. But a lot of people, ego won't allow you to say, hey, I can't do that. They'll just say they can.
So let's sit in that for a minute. The whole ego thing, and you just say, you're not a woman, but you will call on someone who can actually reach that demographic. So the importance of networking. A lot of times we get the big head and it's just like, oh, I got it by myself, or I can do it by myself. But in reality, it doesn't work that way because we need people. How big are you on networking?
Networking is all I do, honestly. Like I said, like half my podcast, if anybody ever seen one of my podcasts, I introduce the question, but half the time I don't even answer the question. I let the panel, 10, 15, whoever's there, answer the question for me. So right there, networking. If they don't show up, then we don't have a podcast. So, I mean, that's really how I grew mine so quick, too, opening it up for people, businesses, anybody who wanted to be involved, just bringing them in, because instead of me trying to promote my podcast, one person trying to push it to everybody, now when I post one episode, I mean, at this point, we a million view podcast. I think I have over like 500 people involved with me as far as businesses, people who've been on. Anytime I post anything, they push it harder than I do. So, again, networking solves the issue. I don't like to make it sound like that, but I don't have to try that hard to get the word out anymore. It's kind of been put in through the years to get people to do it for me.
Right. And again, that goes with building the connections with people in life. We can't do life alone. You can do life alone, but it's going to be harder to do. But having the right people in place and in position, it actually helps to push your vision, to push your dreams, especially if you have people that truly believe in what you got going on. I know you said that you started out with your crew, with your friends, and we kind of talked about, seasonal people here and there. I want you to kind of talk about that a little bit, because we talked about how sometimes it's hard to let go of certain people due to whatever rank they may hold in your life or however it is, but sometimes certain people aren't needed for a certain level, or everybody can't go to the next level with you. Do you find it hard, or have you found it hard to tell people no?
Honestly, no. At least for me, like with the pod, it was a phrase that stuck with me a long time. You might see people around me, but they're not with me. So like a lot of people, I only have a few people I call friends. So like I don't have to let people go because I was never under any illusion they were with me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes
so
a lot of
like
sense.
I tell everybody, we both showing love or we both doing business. I don't confuse the two. Like we're not gonna do business off the basis that we're friends. And if we're friends, okay, then we're gonna, I don't like to mix the two. If we friends right now, then we're gonna talk as friends. But if we gotta do some business, then we're gonna do the business. So like if the business don't make sense, it's not gonna make sense because you're my friend. It's so as long as you don't blur, a lot of people blur that line and they get offended because you did a business favor for a friend and now you're mad that your friend is doing business with you. So don't confuse the two. So that's, as long as you don't get in that the gray area is what causes confusion. I like to keep things black and white as far as when it comes to business.
That is real good, and I'm glad you said that, because that happens a lot. A whole lot. So thank you for putting that out there. Now, for someone who is starting up their business that's listening to this podcast, what would be some advice or some pointers that you can give them? Not necessarily for starting a podcast, but just in content creating in general.
What I'd say for content creation is get into it for the right purposes, mainly because, like out of my studio, I deal with like 8 or 9 podcasts now, a bunch of different content creators, and I let them know early on, if you're in this, if your number one goal is to make money in this, you're probably gonna quit before you ever get to the stage of getting to the money, because most people, as far as content creation, the first year to 2 years, you're not gonna make any money. You're gonna be operating in the red. That just is what it is. You haven't really built up anything worth people paying you for. It's just being real.
Right.
And that's what I tell people. A lot of times, you gotta decide what you want to do early on. Like me, money was never really important to me when I first started it because that's not what I started. I never started it trying to be a business. So we weren't really making any money at first, but it didn't matter because we weren't trying to make the money. So I was able to shout out people for free or businesses or brands and get that free promotion, which got me out further than had I tried to charge somebody X amount to do it. Because yeah, you might, when I was doing it for free, I might have had 50 businesses reach out, but if I started charging, then I might have had 1 or 2. So now instead of reaching those 50 businesses and everybody they know, now, all right, I made a couple of dollars, but I only reached 2 businesses now. So I just cut myself off at the legs. Meanwhile, the first year or two, if I was able to get all these people, expand that web, like I think now on Instagram, I got like over 50,000 on Instagram, 1 million view podcast. Had I started charging on day one, I would have never got that. Reason being is because anything business related, if somebody says, I want you to pay me X amount, first question that should be asked is, well, why? You want me to pay you to promote on your stuff and you have no followers, no real view time, no real retention. What am I paying for? And that's where conversations are going to stop. And that's where you'll kind of never get to that point. You got to actually build it up to show people, well, I'm reaching X amount, I'm reaching these people, this is what I can kind of do for you. And that's where it makes sense. But a lot of people come in it thinking, hey, I'm interesting, I'm funny. And that's another thing. You got to understand when it gets into true content creation, what's entertaining to you and your friends and what's entertaining to a general audience. A lot of people will fall into telling inside jokes, which doesn't work if you have a big audience, because half the people, like me, I have a national audience. I can't make a lot of middle Georgia jokes. And I got people who watch in California have no idea what I'm talking about. And it's only so long people are gonna wanna be on the outside of inside joke before they start paying attention to you. And that's the same thing with this content. People, they'll like to ramble until they get to a point. Well, in this space, I tell everybody, you only have a certain amount of time to get somebody's attention. If you don't have it by then, it's over. So as you try to ramble, you might have had a good point 5 minutes from now, but I clicked off 2 minutes ago, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So it's little small things that you learn over time, but again, you don't get to learn those things if you only got into it hoping to make money.
Whew, that's real good. Listen, thank you so much for that. Shout out your page. Give us your handlings because I want people to go and check out your content to see the growth. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. Big dreams, it takes time. So don't feel bad if it doesn't happen in a week or so. It's gonna take time. And a lot of times when we're on this journey, we don't like the waiting process of it all. So just know that in due time, it will happen, but you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing and thriving in that, and don't give up. Just because you only got 5 likes here, keep going. Like, don't stop, but keep going, and you'll actually reap the benefit of your harvest. So give us your handles for social media.
Yeah, this ain't about me, but I guess if you want me to,
I appreciate it.
It's Lawrence Ray on IG and LRW3 on the YouTube. Again, it ain't about me. You subscribe to her, most importantly, follow her. But I mean, if you got some free time afterwards, I guess you're more than welcome to follow me too.
I appreciate you, Lawrence Ray. Y'all give him a hand. Thank you so much. Well, listen, kings and queens, we are getting down to the end of it. Listen, I truly appreciate each and every one of you for coming out and kicking it with your girl. I want to give out just a few more shout outs. I want to shout out to everyone that's in the building today. So go ahead and make some noise for yourselves. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Again, shout out to Mike Ponder in the back, our bartender. Shout out to Auntie Glover and the crew back there cooking up the fish and the wings. I appreciate y'all. Shout outs to Josie, who's gonna come back and grace the mic. Shout outs to 1212 Studios. This is where this podcast is being recorded and produced. If you are looking to do anything as far as content creation, make sure you check out 1212 Studios by going to the website at 1212inc.com. kings and queens. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of Kicking It with Kay with your girl. As I celebrate 2 years of podcasting, listen, I truly appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you. Special shout outs to all of my guests, Jada, DeMarco, Keisha, Lawrence. Thank you guys for coming and having the conversation with your girl. Special shout outs to the 1212 staff. Listen, you guys are truly amazing and special, very special to me, because not only are you guys 1212 staff, but you guys are also Kicking It with K staff as well. So I truly appreciate you guys. Listen, make sure you go and follow me on all social media platforms. It will be down in the description below. But until next time, I'm out. I look all right. V.